This is Heno's Sport, bringing you that heat and that fire. All right, man. Today, I'm going on 8 videos because I got a lot to say, man. I haven't been putting out videos in a minute, but let's get on to the first one. Let's talk about Cinnamon Alvarez versus Floyd Money Mayweather. I'm going to say it again. Cinnamon Alvarez versus Floyd Money Mayweather. Folks, stop it. I'm going to do that again. Stop it. One more time, because 3 is the number of confirmation. Stop it. Cinnamon Alvarez is not on the level of Floyd Money Mayweather. Come on, man. How many fights can we sit here and talk about Mayweather has had that's been controversial? If you guys want to use the Castillo fight, Mayweather ran that shit back. And he dispelled any misnomers on it. You want to talk about Marcos Maidana? Mayweather ran that shit back. He dispelled any misnomers about that. That's one thing about Money Mayweather that Canelo Alvarez has failed to do, that Money Mayweather has done. Canelo Alvarez had a rematch against Triple G, right? What happened in that rematch? It was still undecisive. It was still undetermined who was the victor. I know some people say, even I have said it, in the second half of the second fight, that he stalked the stalker. But the win wasn't definitive. This is what separates Money Mayweather from Cinnamon Alvarez. Folks have a problem of being what I call the prisoner of the second, and AKA the prisoner of the moment. I'm going to say that again. They are a prisoner of the second, AKA prisoner of the moment. I know my subscribers, they've been wanting me to talk because on YouTube, when I don't speak, it's a void, man. There's a void that's left out of there because you got Rudy Poo and you got Plum Brain ultra fanboys that have ultra fanboy rhetoric. And you need me, He Knows His Sport, bringing you that what? That heat and that fire to come up in this thing and give you cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat truths. The truth of the fact of the matter is this. I like Cinnamon Alvarez. I've said this before on Wax. He's a very, very good fighter. But that's his truest and most properest levels. I'm going to say it again. That's his truest and most properest levels. Folks, you have to understand, man. Like Meek Mill say, there's levels to this shit. And the levels is this. Canelo Alvarez is non-athletic, a.k.a. slow. We don't associate non-athleticism and slowness with Floyd Money Mayweather, one of the slickest fighters of our modern generation. So Canelo Alvarez is, he gets an X there. You can't compare them because remember, if you're comparing him to Money Mayweather, you have to compare him in terms of what he does in the ring, his ring generalship. Floyd Mayweather's ring generalship, Floyd Mayweather's application to the sport is second to none. There's only one modern guy right now in the sport today. And I know people go, oh, you're a fanboy. Da, 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 da. But if you guys do film study or AKA the tell of the tape, you will see what I'm talking about. There's only one guy in this modern day sport. Floyd Money Mayweather gave him the credit. He gave him the nod of approval. Just like Michael Jordan gave Kobe Bryant the nod of approval and said that he merits and he deserves the comparison. Floyd Money Mayweather has never come out of his mouth and ever got slot to the mouth about this dude. This is the only dude that he has vehemently given him the full nod of approval. There's been times where Floyd Money Mayweather has dismissed Terrence Bud Crawford, but he has not dismissed this guy. His name is Earl the Truth Spence because of that sparring session. That sparring session, if you listen to some of the most celebrated folks that was in that sparring session, they said that was the greatest work. It was damn near better than a prize fight. That's how good that sparring session was. And anybody that knows Earl the Truth Spence knows he comes to fight. But this video is not about Earl the Truth Spence. It's about Canelo Alvarez being compared to Money Mayweather. In the slickness department, he fails. He's non-athletic and slow. Head work, head movement, and foot movement, come on, it's night and day. Floyd Mayweather is leagues and shoulders above him. Canelo Alvarez gets hit on the button. Yes, he has a great night chin. But when Mayweather was getting hit, it was towards the end of his career. It was when Mayweather was starting to lose his legs. And it was against elite competition, a la the Miguel Cottos of the world. Mayweather was getting tagged here and there, but it still was not to the level of Cinnamon Alvarez, folks. So stop the presses and pump the brakes on the nonsense. Go sit down somewhere and higgity fucking hush, man, because I'm sick and tired of this comparison nonsense. Because when you sit there and you look at both fighters, come on, it's night and day. Is Cinnamon Alvarez defining his own legacy? Yes. But his legacy does not match with Money Mayweather. And if people are being honest with themselves and they're using what I call the true boxing eye test and no ultra fanboyism shit, they will see what I'm talking about. They'll see the full weight, the full gravity, and the full magnitudes of what I'm talking about. Now let's move on to the second one. Let's talk about athleticism. Canelo Alvarez's athleticism don't match Money Mayweather's athleticism. Because Canelo Alvarez has stamina issues. Mayweather has athleticism in droves. Mayweather's conditioning was one of his best assets in the ring. Go look at the way Mayweather trained. Second to none, man. There's only one guy in the sport right now that trains just as hard as Mayweather. That's Earl the True Spence. Mayweather is like an Energizer bunny. He was getting stronger as the fight was going on. He never got weaker. He didn't wane. He didn't have stamina issues. Canelo Alvarez has stamina issues. Hence, that's why they call him Mr. Clean. See, I'm coming with cold-hearted, unadulterated, and cutthroat truths. And the truth of the fact of the matter is, how can you compare a guy that has stamina issues from round 7 and up, the championship rounds in a fight, with the likes of a Floyd Money Mayweather? It does not add up, folks. So again, higgity fucking hush. So we've addressed the non-athletic, aka slow. We've addressed, you know what I'm saying, head movement and foot movement. His is subpar. Mayweather's was superior, beyond superior. Then we address athleticism. Now let's address ability to be able to adapt. Canelo has problems with switch hitters, man. He has problems with fighters that are always giving him different looks. Mayweather was the master of expanding that against him. And a 35-year-old Mayweather, I don't care what version of Canelo Alvarez you put in front of him, will dispatch him, man. I'm not going to talk about this 42-year-old Mayweather because I'm not that delusional. I don't think Mayweather at 42. Anyone that says that, they need to get their head screwed on because Mayweather's been out of sport for a while. But a 35-year-old Floyd Money Mayweather, he dispatches Canelo Alvarez easily because he still has tools in the tool yard and the tool shed that can expose Canelo Alvarez. He can give Canelo Alvarez different looks. People don't understand the beauty and how he embarrassed Canelo Alvarez because he was switching it up. Canelo didn't know what to do because he was giving Canelo something different every time. You have to be a master boxer. You have to be a master of the sweet science, which is to hit and don't get hit, to understand that. This is why I always said, a very special or the most elite version of a slickster that can move their feet will demolish, expose, and trounce Canelo Alvarez. This is why Canelo Alvarez don't want no parts of a Jamal Charlo. And this is why Earl the True Spence will embarrass him, because of the fact that they have those special abilities to exploit his weakness. I'm telling y'all, man, y'all not trying to hear me out here in these boxing streets. Canelo Alvarez has been copying Mayweather. This is how you know how great Mayweather is. Mayweather's not copying no Cinnamon Alvarez. He's copying him. He's copying him in terms of how to be A side in situations. He's copying Mayweather in terms of how to put certain stipulations against fighters. Mayweather set the standard, not Cinnamon Alvarez. So again, folks, Mayweather is the standard bearer. When has that changed? But folks want to say, oh, Mayweather, you know, he didn't fight this opponent. Listen, man. Canelo Alvarez has 5 controversial fights on his resume. Mayweather does not have none. Because if it was controversial, he ran that thing back. That was his motto. Let's run it back. And he did it immediately so he could shut people up. So no one could put that against him. You have to say hats off to that. You have to respect that. And if folks sit here and try to go against that, then they don't know what they talking about. They want to sit here and tell me I don't know shit about boxing. Then you got your head unscrewed. You got your head, you know what I'm saying, thrown out of a window or something like that. Because when somebody calls me a fanboy, but yet they are the fanboys, the irony in that. That's why I always tell people, ultra fanboys want to call you a fanboy because you come in with cold-hearted, unadulterated, cutthroat truths. You're saying stuff that they don't want to hear. But I already told you, I'm not here to make friends on YouTube. I'm here to tell you the stuff not that you want to hear, but the stuff that you need to hear. I'm going to say it again. Not the stuff that you want to hear, but the stuff that you need to hear. So stop overrating Cinnamon Alvarez. Have you ever seen somebody the likes of a Bernard Hopkins call Mayweather? I mean, he called Mayweather out on his personal, right? But have you ever seen him call him out on anything boxing? Bernard Hopkins is giving Mayweather the full nod of approval. He's like, man, he's what you call OG in boxing. He's a guy that mastered the game. There's nothing he doesn't do that's wrong. If anything, Bernard Hopkins was saying, man, I've taken some of the stuff from Mayweather. I ain't going to even front to you. Like the best thing Mayweather does when he uses that long swooping jab to bust your stomach up and to take wind out of you, man. You people don't understand how much athleticism and skill it takes to go that low, hit somebody in the gut, and don't get hit. What I said was too deep and profound. Let me rewind that, man, because I need to let this marinate in the corpus callosum and in the cerebellum. Hear me and hear me well. That long swooping shot, Andre Ward copied that blueprint. Bernard Hopkins said that. I ain't gonna lie, man. I added that to the tool yard and the tool shed. Whenever you ever heard Bernard Hopkins say that about Canelo Alvarez? All this time Canelo Alvarez been fighting. Anything he got on his ass about the clean situation. Because Bernard Hopkins, just like Floyd Mayweather, just like Andre Ward, are a product of hard work and dedication. They are a product of work ethic, which is something that Canelo is now showing. But prior to him getting chewed out by Bernard Hopkins, because of the fact that he had to use an illegal PED substance so that he can make himself relevant, folks, lest y'all forget, lest I have to remind y'all asses, he had to get yelled at to get to that dean of that level. Bernard Hopkins had to put his ass on that dean. Floyd Mayweather doesn't need to be put in that way. And see, all of these young fighters that are coming up the ranks, that are expecting that they should just arrive and they don't have to put in the work. Mayweather was putting in the work, man. People need to go back and do some film study and some tail of the tape and look at Pretty Boy Mayweather. I mean, Pretty Boy Floyd. And look at what he had to go through arduously. What he had to go through hard work and dedication to build himself up to where he's at. I could care less for Mayweather outside of the boxing ring. I don't think he's a role model. I'd be the first one to tell you that. I could care less anything he does outside the ring because it doesn't benefit anyone. It only benefits himself. After all, he's the master of telling you self-preservation is the law of the land. I love that title. I use it for certain things in life. But Mayweather uses it selfishly when it comes to things outside of the square circle. So I'm not a fan of him outside of the square circle. But when we're talking about the realm of boxing and we're talking about what he means to the sport of boxing, he's the best fighter, bar none, man, in this generation. It's not even close. So when anybody wants to sit here and compare Cinnamon Alvarez to them, they need to get their head screwed on. And I don't care what Cinnamon Alvarez does. I don't care if he unifies 160. Still don't come close to Mayweather because guess what? He got an L on his record, man. Something has to be said for a fighter being undefeated and fighting great fighters. People want to sit here and say, well, Floyd Mayweather, he don't have great fighters. Genaro Hernandez was not a great fight. Go look at that. He was the champion at that time. When Floyd Mayweather won his first championship against Genaro Hernandez. Go look at the obstacle in that. But people want to sit here and do this. That's all they want to do. Run their freaking mouths, man. They want to act like Floyd Mayweather did not go through some hoops. When he fought Zab Judah, he fought a Zab Judah that was in his prime. That was one of his hardest fights, man. He didn't have to take that fight. Zab Judah was no joke at that time. Zab Judah wouldn't be able to dispatch anybody with that speed and that athleticism. A lot of these new fighters that's out here right now, a la Terrence Bud Crawford, that Zab Judah would have embarrassed him. And Mayweather took that dude on. And he was giving Mayweather fits, but Mayweather figured his ass out. He figured out the puzzle. This is what I'm trying to tell people, man. So when people sit here and they run their mouth, man, they don't know what they talking about. They don't know shit about boxing. Mayweather still fought a Shane Mosley that still had pop. And that still was credible. He fought Oscar De La Hoya, folks. I don't want to hear this stuff. Oh, Oscar De La Hoya was over the hill. What? Look at that fight. If Oscar De La Hoya was over the hill, why did that fight go the distance the way it did? Why was it a trading back and forth, back and forth? Come on, man. So this is the stuff I'm talking about. Mayweather fought a Ricky Hatton that was in his prime. That was knocking motherfuckers out. So what are we talking about here? Mayweather fought a Juan Manuel Marquez that had legs. And that was countering like nobody's business. But Mayweather showed him who was the master counterer. Lest y'all forget, lest I have to remind y'all asses. Chop Chop Corey. I mean, come on, man. Do I need to keep going on and on and on and on about who Mayweather has fought? His record and resume speaks for itself, folks. So what are people talking about here? The man has fought credible opponents. So we're not going to sit here and slight his resume. And all of those guys, Manny Pacquiao himself, Ricky Hatton, all of them have said that, hey, I ain't going to lie. Juan Manuel Marquez, all of them. But y'all fanboys don't want to say that shit. All of them have said that Mayweather is leagues and shoulders above the rest. He is above the fray, a la Game of Thrones. I'm going to say it again. He is above the fray, a la Game of Thrones. He done checkmate everybody, man. Everybody wanted to be like him. Andre Ward down. So what are we talking about here? Does everybody want to be like Cinnamon Alvarez? No. So stop the presses and pump the brakes on the comparison, folks. If you're comparing these two, you don't know shit about boxing. It's just that simple. So again, does Canelo Alvarez or Cinnamon Alvarez stack up to Money Mayweather? Or will he ever stack up to Money Mayweather? No. He just doesn't. He doesn't cut the mustard. That's like comparing Kawhi Leonard to Michael Jordan. Whew. Whew. That's like comparing Kawhi Leonard to Michael Jordan or LeBron James to Michael Jordan. You just don't make that comparison, man. It doesn't add up. That's what we're talking about here when we compare Cinnamon Alvarez to Money Mayweather. This is He Knows His Sport. Checking out.